Welcome to Impact Makers Radio, featuring industry thought leaders sharing problem-solving insights to help grow your business and live the life you love. And here's your host, Stewart Andrew Alexander.
Hi, and welcome to another Let's Talk Divorce conversation. And on this segment of the show, ladies and gentlemen, I have family law attorney Brad Tengler of the Law Office of Bradley R. Tengler, who is calling in all the way from Rockford, Illinois. Now, Brad has a wealth of experience in the area of family law and will be talking to you today about choosing how difficult or empowering your divorce will be. So, sounds like we're going to be talking about choices today, ladies and gentlemen. So, let's not keep him waiting any longer. Welcome to the show, Brad.
Thanks, Stuart. It's great to be here.
You're so welcome, Brad. So let's make the best use of our time and jump straight in. If you could, Bradley, in your own words, briefly describe the people you serve and the kinds of situations that they find themselves in when they come to you for help.
Well, I serve people going through divorces or custody litigation or child support or parenting time litigation. And they find themselves in a number of situations. Oftentimes, divorces are very expensive, and so they may have limited funds for attorney fees. They also may be dealing with a very difficult, soon-to-be ex-spouse, and they need significant help as they're going through the divorce process.
When it comes to choosing how empowering a divorce will be or can be, what's the most common misconception that you come across on a daily basis out there, Bradley?
Well, I think the most common misconception is that divorces have to be win or lose. Oftentimes, the best situations for divorce are win-win situations. Let me give an example. Like a tit-for-tat kind of situation. Let's say one parent refuses to adjust the parenting time schedule for a certain event for the children. And then the other parent, in retaliation, does the same thing at a later date. That doesn't do anyone any good. It doesn't do the children any good. And so often, if parents can learn to work together, even if they're divorced, it's the best for them, it's obviously the best for their children, and it creates a win-win kind of situation.
Based on what you just shared with us then, Brad, and obviously keeping client confidentiality in mind, can you share with us an example of how you've helped someone who came to you with those challenges you just described, and what kind of transformational results you were able to gain for them?
Sure. The general example that I just gave is kind of common. Oftentimes, if one parent does something that the other parent does not like in regards to the children, it's very tempting to retaliate against the parent and withhold the children or be difficult with the other parent, even though it may be in the best interest of the children. So let's say one parent wants a little more time for Thanksgiving or another holiday. And then when Christmas comes around and the other parent wants a little more time, that other parent is not willing to give. That's a lose-lose situation. And divorces don't need to be that way. Working out parenting time schedules with kids doesn't need to be that way.
You're here today to let people know that they have the power to choose just how difficult or empowering their divorce can be. With that in mind then, Bradley, what's the most common unknown pitfall they might not, but should be aware of?
I think the most common pitfall that is unknown is probably that in certain circumstances, you absolutely have to have an attorney. Now, we have a website called IllinoisDoItYourselfDivorce.com, which allows people to go through the divorce process, has the forms, it walks people through child support, walks people through maintenance and alimony, parenting time schedules, all those things. and the paperwork without an attorney. However, there are times where you absolutely have to have an attorney. If it's a domestic violence situation, if there is a large power differential between the parties, if one of the spouses refuses to agree to what the law says should happen when it comes to, say, child support, then in those situations, you simply have to get legal counsel.
Keeping those examples in mind that you just shared with us where someone really needs to have an attorney to represent them, what are the advantages then of a do-it-yourself process that you've put together for your clients?
The advantages are many. Number one, you're going to save a lot of money in attorney fees. Number two, you're not going to create animosity between you and your soon-to-be ex-spouse because you will not be involved in contentious court hearings. I think those are the two most important advantages. People have to commit to that. And the fact that they're going through a divorce probably means they have difficulties with communication. But some people can do very well at communicating outside of their marriage, meaning that, they don't do well as a romantic couple, but they can commit and do well co-parenting. That is the advantage of using a do-it-yourself divorce program, such as ours.
Could you briefly tell us a little bit about yourself then, Bradley, and especially in terms of your background and your education and your experience as it relates to the topic of family law and divorce?
Well, prior to being an attorney, I was a high school teacher, and then I went into law school. And after a year of practicing law, I went out on my own and started practicing family law pretty much exclusively for the past 6 years. It's a passion of mine. I like helping people through the process. I myself am divorced, and it's good to see and help people work through a very difficult time in their life.
So when that alarm bell rings in the morning, it's 6:30, 7 o'clock, whatever the time may be, then Bradley, how do you feel when you're waking up every morning and you have a day ahead of you of clients and cases? How does Bradley Tengler feel?
It can be exciting and energizing knowing that you have the ability to go into court, make real changes in people's lives, and hopefully help them through the divorce process so at the end of it, things are not in their life as toxic as they were at the beginning of the process.
Right. And for those divorcing couples who want to know more about making the correct, empowering choices before, during, and after the divorce process, what final thoughts would you like to leave them with before you go then, Bradley?
I think it's important throughout the divorce process to be kind. I think it's important to be assertive. And if you have kids, I think it's always important to think about what is in their best interest. That is what is going to make your divorce less contentious if both spouses can think about their kids first.
How does one remain objective and just focus on the children? Because I'm sure we both agree that they are the most important ones throughout this whole process and the most vulnerable ones. So what kind of insights could you share, if you would? And I know you're not a psychologist, but what kind of insights based on your experience could you share with those divorcing parents who are listening right now, who may be at loggerheads, however, unfortunately, the children are caught up in the middle?
I often encourage clients to do two things. Number one, to get involved in counseling. It's important as they're going through one of the most stressful times in their life to get professional assistance, just to walk them through that, through that difficult time. And two, to focus on their goals as individuals. If they had been putting off school, if they had been putting off pursuing something in terms of their career, to focus on those things. Now that they are going through a divorce, they are individuals, and there's lots of exciting things that they may be able to do in their future that they were not able to do as married persons.
If there's somebody out there who's been listening to you today, Brad, and they want to know more, how would they be able to connect with you? Where would they find you?
They can reach me at www.tenglerlaw.com, or they can reach me at www.illinoisdoityourselfdivorce.com. My email is brad@tenglerlaw.com. That's TENGLERLAW.com. Or 815-997-5200 is our phone.
Unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. So that was Brad Tengler. Thank you so much for sharing so generously with us today, Brad. You certainly have demonstrated that you're a true educator and advocate for your client success. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Stewart. I appreciate being on the show.
You're so welcome, Brad. And more importantly, I'd also like to say a big thank you to you, the listener, and especially for joining us on this informative conversation with one of the top family law attorneys in Rockford, Illinois today, Brad Tengler. Make sure you do check him out. Give him a call, send him an email. You're certainly going to be in good hands. So again, I'm Stewart Andrew Alexander, and we'll be back shortly with some more leading divorce professionals in this our series of Let's Talk Divorce Conversations. So until then, take care, ladies and gentlemen, and have a great day, and we'll talk real soon.
Thank you for tuning in to Impact Makers Radio. To listen to all past, present and future industry thought leaders and trendsetters, visit us at impactmakersradio.com.